How would you describe your sound?
I would say that I'm a pretty eclectic mix of maybe late 90s um, alt rock with contemporary Americana. If that makes sense.
Who are some of your influences when you were growing up?
Well, a huge fan of like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, um, Elton John, Billy Joel, the Beatles. Um, what else? Delamitri. Do you know that band?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. Um, yeah, just so many Smashing Pumpkins, Queen. Hmm. There's just so I just keep going on and on and on. But there's a lot of influences. Fiona Apple, Jewel, um, Carole King, Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, The Cars, so many things.
All of them super influential in so many artists growing
Yeah.
up here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're the standards. I mean, but there's some people that flew under the radar, like Freddie Johnson, who I'm just amazed by. He did the soundtrack for that one movie. It's escaping me right now. I think it was Kingpin, and just him at the guitar. You know, I got a bad reputation. Like that song. It's just him with the guitar and just amazing lyrics. The sentiment was there. It's just something we could all relate to, I think. And yeah, stuff like that totally influenced me and stays in my DNA forever, I think.
Well, I'm so sorry for the loss of your son. What was it about his experience or your experience with the loss of his life that inspired Saturday Night Sleeping?
Yeah. So thank you. And I think it lied dormant in my heart for close to 3 years before I even attempted to write a song because I just didn't want to believe it. And when the pandemic hit, I had a lot of time to think, and I was alone with my thoughts a lot. And I was at the piano one morning and I remembered the way the light was coming through the window. And I just started playing on the piano, just messing around. And I just started saying to myself, like, I understand that pain of like wanting to just have something to take it away, and his was heroin and mine has been some other kind of drug or alcohol in the past. And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of wanting something to numb the emotional pain because people take things for physical pain all the time, but emotional pain could be something that just lies there in the background all the time and never goes away. And yeah, I kind of felt inspired on that one morning, the way the winter light was coming through the blinds and on the piano.
Would you say it was a cathartic experience for you then?
It was out of body for sure. I had a little bit of remnants of his ashes up on the mantle, and I sometimes I look over at them, and there's a Celtic cross on there, and I talk to him, and yeah, I felt like he was in the room with me for a moment.
Talk about then writing the track, the words, the lyrics with Jeff King and Tammy King.
Yeah, well, what I did was I wrote all the lyrics and stuff, and the song was probably about 70% done. And like Beth, there's people in my life that clean up my messes. And I came to the duo of Tammy and Jeff King. Tammy's with the Steel Drivers and Jeff is with Reba. And I came to them with the song, and I was staying down there at their house, and we were drinking a glass of wine, and we were talking about the song, and I didn't let them know what it was about or anything. And then we went down there and we just had at it. She just got on the violin and made me cry. And,
Mhm.
he had a way about him, and he still does. He's just an amazing musician. Jeff and Tammy are just like musicians you want to go to if you needed somebody just to get what you were saying without saying anything. Those two do it. They have telepathy, musical telepathy. And that's always a big relief, because when you don't know what you want somebody to kind of be like, yeah, this is what you want, and when it sounds good. And I just thank the Lord, that they were picking up on a vibe that I was putting out there in some way. And or maybe they didn't, maybe they just came with it on their own, but I just feel really honored.
What was it like then for you to record the song itself? Were you leaving the studio in tears? Were you feeling at peace at that moment?
Strange. Yeah, that's a good question. When we recorded the song, I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it. The musicians didn't have any advance warning other than charting it. In the control room, we did it at Sony Tree, and Andy Waterman was there, and he was an engineer, and he's sitting there overseeing like all the buttons, making sure the levels are right. And Jeff is sitting there with his glasses turned down and like charting it and looking at the paper and like, I know the song, like, but he didn't say anything to anybody else. He knew what it was about. And we didn't let anybody else know what it was about. And at the end, people were like, man, that's a really deep song. And I was like, thank you for capturing the thoughts. And yeah, I was very emotional recording the song. What you hear on the actual recording is just a rough vocal. That's me in the booth, not even on a good microphone. That's on a microphone like this one right here, not even at one of those $10,000 Neumanns. Or it's all it is. It's just a reference vocal, and that's what I sang at because the emotion was there. And we left it just like that.
What do you hope listeners take away from then?
I think if it could help somebody realize that, doing heroin or a drug like that is a lifetime commitment. And it is actually a commitment that can bring three things, the jail, death, or being homeless. Or, there's a lot of people that suffer homelessness that are addicts. They never got the help, or they did get the help and it just never took. It is like getting bit by a vampire. That's why I say the vampire's needle, because the addiction is so strong. The feeling of being warm with heroin and being calm, the lure is so alluring to people that suffer from mental illness and they're self-medicating. So what I think is, if I could reach somebody that knows somebody that's self-medicating, or they are, maybe they would get some help. That's why I partnered with Music Cares for musicians that are in that situation. And 100% of the proceeds from Saturday Night Sleeper are going towards Music Care to fund addiction recovery to help offset costs until September. So I'm making a big commitment. I'm not collecting a penny on any of this stuff. So it's really just so strong to me and in my heart.
It's a beautiful way to honor your son's life, and not just in song, but with going forward, helping others. And is there a way that people who are your fans and followers can get involved with Music Cares or other charities you support as far as addiction goes?
Yes. So Music Cares, I believe it's musiccares.org. And musiccares.com. I think they own both, but I'll have more information on my Instagram and all my socials, and I'll actually email you specifically because I don't want to give the wrong information out.
Of course.
But it's going to be until September, which is a pretty good stretch. And we're going to be doing some Music Care sponsored events, maybe in Los Angeles and Hollywood, because they run the Grammys and the Recording Academy. They're part of the same network, and they help different musicians, whether you're a session musician or any kind of other artist. You could be a producer or something like that. They help people in the industry. But I think what this is going to end up doing in my mind, what I would like to see happen is just raise awareness all around, and not just for musicians, for anybody, because we're all important in this world and we all have a role to play. And it's really a shame that some people just don't get to live to their 100% potential because of the insidious demon, which is drug and even alcohol abuse as well.
What's next for you then? Do you have an EP or an album in the works at all?
Yes, a full-length album in the fall of 13 songs. So this is just track one. And they're not all this somber, I can promise you that. So
Whenever you need to get, your heart, off your chest,
yeah.
off your mind, I'm sure that no one's going to complain whether somber or uplifting. It's
No.
just whatever you need to musically express yourself. I think that's what matters most.
Yeah, I believe expression is very important. If you hold stuff in, like I did for 3 years, I went on tour. I didn't tell anybody what
I know,
happened.
right? 16 dates right after.
It was strange. Actually, the first place I went was Colorado, and I played at this underground place. Are you familiar with Denver at all?
No.
First time I was there, and it was like a month after it, so it was really still fresh. But I played some shows with Howie Day, and I was like, he's in the green room offering me chips and salsa, and I'm just like, the first time I met him, and I'm a fan of his, the Clyde song and all that. And he had no idea. He just thought I was really weird, but maybe he thought I was just like a really brooding type of artist, but I was suffering really from depression at that point. And
Sure.
yeah, so I'm trying to stay really sober, on a sober path. And I'm on antidepressants right now, and that kind of helps me a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I would rather people, not that I'm any, like psychiatrist or anything, but there's probably other ways other than medication. But if you really are suffering, you should seek professional help and not self-medicate, because that really is the major mistake that leads into predominantly most of your overdoses, self-medication.
Whatever journey you need to take to heal, healthy, a healthy way to heal is completely understandable. And you're a part of social media. What kind of fan feedback have you been receiving to Saturday Night Sleep already?
A lot of private emails, a lot of private DMs, and a lot of, I've had this experience. My sister has this experience. She's struggling right now. She's in rehab. Or my brother just left rehab. Or, like a lot of things. My daughter passed away from a fentanyl overdose. It's such an epidemic that we don't even realize the full repercussions of it, honestly, and it transcends all strata of economic resource.
Right.
Yeah, it's anybody's brother, daughter, mother, sister, father. It just really, it runs the gamut. So I don't know if you personally had anybody in your family struggle.
Good.
Really? I'm
Just
sorry to hear
lost him a month ago.
that. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
That's tough.
Well, is there anything else about this particular track or about what it means to you, or maybe what you would like others to do to get more involved in helping to stop addiction that you want to be sure we share with our readers?
Sure. Yeah. And that's really key. Naranon is a great organization, naranon.org, for people that struggle with narcotics addiction and their families. So if it's a great place to reach out to. And I think if you see somebody struggling, understand the struggle. And if they relapse, don't be so hard on them, because that really makes people feel like garbage, when they relapse, because
They feel they disappointed you.
yes, and they feel like they're disappointing themselves. It's like any other compulsion and addiction, right? People have all kinds of compulsions. So when they have that behavior that they can't control, it's almost like they feel like it's such a like a soul defeating journey for them, that they just want to medicate themselves more. So when they relapse, trust me, I know from experience, go easy on them, and like just take them to a meeting, or there's a lot we can do, and be more understanding.